So let's talk about the 5 signs your marriage is probably over and not really worth fighting for anymore. Let's have a heart-to-heart conversation here. Marriage obviously isn't always sunshine and rainbows and butterflies. Like every relationship has its ups and downs. But what happens when these downs feel so endless and you start questioning if it's even worth fighting for your relationship and your marriage anymore? Like that's sometimes what's really you're holding on to, like potentially more damage than actually good. So today I want to dive deeper into like 5 signs your marriage might be over and really not worth fighting for anymore. And it's not about like giving up, it's just recognizing when it's time to prioritize your peace and your inner happiness and your future than anything else. So the first sign, there's a complete lack of communication. Communication is kind of like the lifeline between relationships or in any relationship. And when you and your partner stop talking, or even worse, when every conversation turns into a fight, into an argument, that's a major red flag. Silence and avoidance can feel even more damaging than arguments. If neither of you are willing to engage in honest, open conversations, it almost becomes impossible to resolve any issues. So you really need to reflect on when the communication breakdown really started and why. And if repeated attempts to reconnect or seek counseling have been ignored or dismissed, then it might be time to consider whether staying in that marriage is really healthy for you at this point. The second sign, you feel alone even when you're together. There's nothing lonelier than feeling alone in your own marriage, in your own partnership. If you feel emotionally disconnected, unsupported, or like you're living parallel lives, this is a serious sign that the relationship is no longer serving either of you. A healthy marriage involves emotional intimacy, not just sharing space and be in the same room and you still feel alone. So you need to ask yourself, do you feel emotionally safe and supported in this relationship? If the answer is no, well, then efforts to rebuild intimacy are really, really important. And if that has failed, it might be time to reassess the future of this marriage.
Ladies, stop chasing men. Even when he pulls back or loses interest, or you feel like he's slipping away from you, what you do in that moment can make all the difference between him feeling like you're just like all the other women he's ever met, or it can make him realize and feel you're so unique and special, and exactly the type of woman he wants something real with, something he wants to build with, causing him to chase you, to invest in you, and prove to you that he is the right man for you. There's this 12-word text message that you can send to a man that gets his attention almost immediately and makes him realize that it was a mistake to pull away from you in the first place. If you want to find out what that 12-word text message is, then I highly recommend you check out this brand new video that I created for you. I linked it in the description below. Just click the link, and now let's go back to the video.
Third sign, there's a lack of respect. Respect is obviously the foundation of any healthy relationship. If you cannot even have respect, what do you really have? Once the respect is gone, it's hard to rebuild. Constant criticism, belittling, name calling, or outright contempt are, toxic behaviors that erode every marriage. If your partner no longer respects you, or if you feel you've lost respect for them, it may really signal the relationship has run its course. So what do you do about this? You want to pay attention to know how you speak to each other. Is there consistent disrespect, no effort to change, or are you just staying because you hope for the best, but even though everything else tells you otherwise? The fourth sign is there's no physical nor emotional intimacy anymore. Intimacy has so many different shades and flavors. It's more than just physical connection. It's about emotional closeness, it's about vulnerability. And if affection, touch, and emotional, sharing have disappeared altogether, and neither of you are making any effort to reconnect, it can feel like you're living as roommates instead of partners. So consider whether intimacy has faded due to external stressors that can happen or health issues, or if it's like something deeper. If conversations about rekindling intimacy are met with resistance or indifference and it doesn't really matter at all, yeah, it might be a sign that it's going to be hard to repair that marriage. The fifth sign, one or both of you have given up. A marriage requires effort from both partners. If you or your spouse have emotionally checked out and stopped trying to solve any problems, they stop trying to nurture the relationship, or, that you're not even fighting for it anymore, that's a major sign the marriage is over. Indifference is often more dangerous than anger because it signals that the relationship no longer holds any value and they're like really, they gave up, they moved on almost, they emotionally checked out. So you need to ask yourself, am I staying because I want to or because I feel obligated to? If the answer is obligation and not love or hope for change, then it may be time to move on. Look, the reality is this though. Ending a marriage is never an easy decision, but sometimes it's the bravest and healthiest choice you can make, not just for yourself, but potentially for the two of you. So recognizing these signs isn't about assigning blame or it's like it's your fault, it's not my fault. It's really about protecting your well-being and creating space for the life you deserve. And we're all worthy of love, we're all worthy of respect, and we're all worthy of happiness. And if this marriage really doesn't give you that anymore and there's no effort from any side to really rekindle it, and obviously like if your partner's not interested to do anything about this, then you really have to look into the mirror and ask yourself, is this something that I can see for my future moving forward? Because you tried already everything, nothing is really changing. What are you expecting to change in the future? Just with a little bit of hope and like another tool and another trick in order to rekindle it. It's like if you tried basically everything already, you got to be willing to face the truth. You got to be willing to face reality and make adjustments that feel good for you, not necessary for the already failed marriage at this point anymore. So yeah, if you have more questions about this, if you have some comments about this, reach out, drop it in comments, let me know. Let's dive deeper with this. And like I said, it's never an easy decision. It's never an easy choice whatsoever. I totally get that. However, at the end of the day, your love, your happiness goes beyond the marriage. It's your life. You only live once and you want to live it in the best way possible, knowing that the ups and downs in life and in marriages and relationships as well. But if these signs are consistent and they're showing up over and over, and maybe even like all of them at the same time, maybe it's time to face what's really going on here.